let's get started. Hi everyone, this is Dr. Chen. I will be the only person to do this part of chapter 6. In chapter 6, we are going to have two sessions, and I will talk about the first part of it. So let's get started. Chapter 6 is nonverbal communication. Last chapter, we talked about verbal communication. So what's different between verbal and nonverbal communication? Do you still remember? So again, what is verbal communication? It's written language, okay, what you write in your email, what you write on your paper. Communicate with your friends, text message, or spoken language. So what is nonverbal communication? Everything that's not written or spoken language, they create meaning for someone. Okay, so this is, everything is not verbal communication counts nonverbal communication. So the first part of this chapter, we are going to talk about different functions and different principles of communication, nonverbal communication. So let's talk about nonverbal communication principles. First thing, they convey emotional and relationship information. Okay, your nonverbal, your facial expression, your gesture, your posture, all say something about you. Okay, so they convey your emotion and your relationship. How close between you and your friends, and between you and your professor, between you and a stranger, your nonverbal cues tell something. So face channel 50% of our emotional meanings. Your facial expression actually is pretty important. Vocal cues convey around 38% of our emotional meaning. So the tone or how fast you speak also talk about your emotion. And a nonverbal communication maintain a relationship with verbal messages. Okay, so when you say something, when you are in a happy mood, your facial expression, your gesture say something, right? So nonverbal communication go with your verbal communication, and they rely on context for meaning. So depends on the situation and location. Everything matters here. Context, remember in chapter 1, context is location, is the environment you are in. Another thing here, people typically extract meaning more from nonverbal than verbal. So we believe nonverbal cues rather than verbal communication. So how are you? When your friend asks you, how are you? And you say, fine, with your sad facial expression. Even though the answer is fine, I'm good, but your facial expression says more than your verbal. Nonverbal messages are more believable, right? We believe nonverbal. Remember, there's one sentence, one cliche say, actions speak louder than words, right? Your behaviors say more than your words. Nonverbal messages are not very conscious and harder to control. So it's hard to control because sometimes you just can't hide your facial expression. So here are some pictures here you can see when you are so surprised, it's hard to hide. And that's what we call nonverbal leakage here, because you can hide. So here is another example. Okay, what do you think? Does this person feel happy, angry, embarrassed? Okay, you can tell. That's what we call nonverbal leakage. Next, we are going to talk about nonverbal functions. Here you can see there are 6 functions of nonverbal communication, and we are going to talk each of them. Substitute, repeat, regulate, accent, complement, conflict. So the first thing, substitute, nonverbal substitute for verbal messages. So you don't have to say anything at all because the nonverbal message will substitute for the verbal message. If someone say, are you okay? You just extend a tongue. they mean something. Okay, give a finger. You don't need to say anything, but the person will know. The receiver will get the message. Okay, so here is an example from Breaking Bad. So Mike won the key from what? Let's watch this together. Okay, here. Where is the video? Give me a second, here. Not this one, but this one. Okay.
What? Key, scumbag. It's the universal symbol for keys.
Okay, so this is a show example that I want to show you. Okay, here. So what's a nonverbal cue here? He just put his hand here. And what does it mean? It means, oh, it means key. The person needs key. Okay, so here when you see a sentence, instead of say, okay, the person is then give extend thumb. So instead of it's a keyword here. Later I will give you an activity in a note. Okay, so that's why you need to fill out, and I will explain it later. So remember, keyword here is instead of. Another function of nonverbal is repeat. Nonverbal messages follow verbal message, one after the other. Verbal and nonverbal message don't occur at the same time, okay? So the idea here is that you do one thing first. So saying I love you and then giving a hug. So after, then next. This is the idea, okay? One after another. Next one, regulate. So nonverbal, so when we try to control flow of conversation, then using nonverbal. So raising your hand to answer a question, like raise hand. Why? Because we know like before you talk, you need to raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand to answer a question. Putting out your hand to indicate you don't want to be interrupted. So just when someone want to say something, student want to say something, I just put this. So okay, hold on, I will get back to you, but let me finish my part. So this is another function of nonverbal. Regulate. Keyword here is try to control, influence, and monitor. Next one, accent. Nonverbal reinforce a verbal message, add intensities or emotion. Okay, nonverbal and verbal message happen at the same time. So, for example here, I say you must know this section of the book for the test while pounding my fist on the book. So, pounding, so it add intensity, it add emotion. So here is another example from this clip, show clip. And let's watch this together.
The problem? No. You bother my friend here. Dandelion? She bothering you?
No, we were just talking.
Yeah. She is bothering me. And you need to be on your way because she don't like talking to you, not one bit.
Are you kidding me?
Move, bitch. This is my wife here, so you need to step. I will touch you. I will touch you. Bitch, don't make me touch you.
Okay, let's stop here. Okay, so here, what's the purpose of this person, right? The nonverbal cue here. Okay, she want the other person leave, right? But here, she add intensity, she add emotion. I will punch you. Well, I don't have that kind of emotion here now. So you show emotion or add intensities when you say something in your nonverbal. Okay, so she throw food to the other person. This is add intensity. Next one is compliment. So the idea of compliment is that you do these two things, verbal, nonverbal, at the same time. So you clarify and extend the meaning of verbal message used in conjunction with each other. Verbally describing and using nonverbal gesture to help reinforce the verbal meaning. So for example, you smile when saying hello to your friends, or you cry when you deliver a sad news to your family members or to your friends as well. So the keywords for compliment is same time, together, and once, while. So when you see the question, if you see these keywords, you will know you need to choose compliment. Next one, conflicts. Nonverbal does not match verbal. It happens all the time, okay? So your partner says she's not upset with you, but she will not make eye contact with you. Or sometimes you say, oh, how are you today? And you smile and say, I'm fine, thank you. But your facial expression says another story. So here the keyword is opposite, opposed, or different. Okay, so this is chapter 6, the first part of chapter 6. We talk about different functions of nonverbal: substitute, repeat, regulate, accent, and complement, conflict. So that's one activity for you in the note. I provide you 6 different scenarios. What you need to do, you need to write down, is a scenario conflict, is a scenario complement. Okay, so this is the first part of chapter 6. Stop sharing. So what you need to do is another recording, and Mark is going to do another recording. So I will see you next chapter. Bye-bye.